I'm Sonoko Sakai. I'm the author of Japanese Home Cooking. Today I'm going to show you how to make the best soba noodles. People often say that soba noodles are really difficult to make. That's just a myth, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. We are going to make soba noodles using buckwheat flour, a little bit of all-purpose flour, and what I'm going to do is sift it together. And I'm going to add water, and I'm not going to pour it all at once. It's going to be gradual, and then you start tossing. Soba noodles is one of those very unique noodles where people go for the seasonality of it, for the freshness of it. I'm pretty much done with the tossing. At this point, I'm ready to start doing my wax on, wax off. So wax on, wax off, you know that movie, right? What was that movie called? Karate Kid. So wax on, wax off. I really started making noodles as an exercise for restoration, for just restoring my soul, just to slow down a little bit because I was a multitasker. And I wanted to just focus on one thing slowly. Like me, I'm slightly ADD. I always have a list, but this one is just water and flour, and you need to pay attention to it, and you get rewarded with this beautiful noodle. So see how it's starting to make these balls? See these balls? Nothing sticks to the bowl because there is not much gluten in it. When I started going back to Japan and thinking, oh, I really want to eat fresh noodles, I would bring back freshly milled buckwheat from Japan in my suitcase. So instead of bringing beautiful clothes from Japan, I just packed my 2 suitcases with basically 50 kilos of buckwheat. And I still tend to do that. We're going to start kneading the dough. And it's a really great workout. Actually, when I did a program in Japan, I did it for 12 weeks, and my triceps were incredible. I would do like about 6 kilos a day, in really good shape. I even had a waistline back then. And now I want to make this circle into a square. You see, I put my hands here, right in the middle, and I flip it. I keep the dough on the rolling pin, and I gently roll it out. So you have now more or less 4 corners, and what you need to do is you could just eye it and bring your dough out and try to make 4 corners cleaner. I also started talking to farmers and scientists who work with grains, and I found out that farmers in the United States have been actually growing buckwheat for hundreds of years. You know, even George Washington grew buckwheat. Thomas Jefferson grew buckwheat. Buckwheat was an important crop. Okay, so tripod with the weight on your thumb, and here he goes. You could find a rhythm. It's almost like horse trotting. It's the sound of a horse trot. So, and then you can trim it. So this is where you're going to shake off the extra flour, and then you're going to lay it out. This is going to be a noodle served in a hot soup with mushrooms. So it's a very basic dashi, and I'm going to add the soup. And then you could garnish it. I like to put a little bit of scallions and yuzu. And we say itadakimasu when we begin eating, so itadakimasu. Delicious. Slurping is not bad manners, by the way. Make noise when you eat noodles. And there's your soba noodles. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Welcome to the Japantown Community Congress of San Jose's 2020 Virtual Bonen Kai. I'm Pam Yoshida, co-president of JCCsj. JCCsj is excited to host this event tonight as we can hopefully take some time this evening to come together as a community. We will reflect on the past year and have a little fun tonight.
I couldn't agree more, Pam. Good evening. I am Ryan Kawamoto, the other co-president of JCCsj, and I'm so excited to introduce our MC this evening, Mike Inoue. Mike is a 3-time Emmy Award-winning traffic anchor for Today in the Bay, weekday mornings on NBC Bay Area. He is also a veteran of live theater, including over a decade of performing unscripted improv comedy with Comedy Sports San Jose, where he can still be seen on occasion. Most importantly, though, Mike is a proud product of the Bay Area and the Nikkei community that has labored selflessly so later generations have an easier path forward. It is so great to have you here tonight, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to MC this event, Mike.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Ryan. And I guess the first thing, folks, that we address is you're looking at a black screen. That's on purpose. There's nothing wrong with the video, nothing wrong with my camera, but you might have noticed that this past year, the Nikkei lantern in the heart of San Jose's Japantown also went dark this past year. So it's a perfect metaphor, this screen, for what's been a very difficult year for that lantern, for us as individuals and for us as a community. But much like I'm happy to announce the relighting of the Nikkei lantern, yes, that's happening. Hopefully tonight we'll also relight your spirits as we welcome in the new year. So without further ado, let's turn on the lights. Lights on! Okay, all right, lights are on. You should see a very big close-up of my face, inappropriately close, I guess. And if you don't, then something is wrong with your video. I'm sorry, fingers crossed for you, though. Now, on that note, the good news of the lantern over my shoulder, we could think of no better way to begin tonight's program than by thanking an angel donor who's asked to remain anonymous. We'll honor that, but just last month, this donor donated the necessary funds to repair our Nikkei lantern on 5th and Jackson. That's in the heart of San Jose's Japantown. We also want to thank the Japantown Business Association, and if you look closely over this shoulder here, you do see some folks with the safety vests on. Palmer Electric also donated the labor costs, along with the Japantown Business Association, to get this lantern back into working order like is over my other shoulder, which is from our website. So thank you to all of the folks. We can think of no better way than to start this evening with that great news for this announcement, and we look forward to the bright future of hope and prosperity for our entire community in 2021, as is symbolized by this light. In fact, the bend in the lantern sculpture symbolizes the strength of the early Japanese pioneers who persevered to build our community. And on behalf of JCCsj, I'd like to thank the incredibly generous donor, who's anonymous again. But if you do happen to know who put some of those funds in there, make sure you thank them quietly. Japantown Business Association and Palmer Electric also deserve much of our thanks, who, much like those early pioneers, well, they yet again have shown the strength of community and generosity, heart, hope, and an unwavering commitment to others in their support. On that note as well, tonight's program will cover the history of JCCsj's Bonen Kai and the importance of this event to our community. We'll also learn about our hosts, JCCsj, and their programs continuing to evolve. Soba is an essential part of the end of the year in Japan, so we'll also find out about how you can make your own soba at home for your own New Year's Eve celebration. We hope you do celebrate as well. And finally, we will have a fun way to end the year by coming together as a community. That's what this means to all of us. But before jumping in, let's recognize our wonderful sponsor this evening for their generous donation in tonight's Bonen Kai program. Okay, now I'd like to introduce, it's my pleasure and my honor to introduce the Consul General of Japan in San Francisco, Toru Maeda. Consul General Maeda Toru began his career at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan in 1985, and he's been in the Foreign Service for the last 35 years. Now, prior to his arrival in San Francisco in February of 2020, well, it's a good thing he did a lot of things, because just after his arrival, we all had to quarantine, and it's been difficult to interact. But in that time before he came here, he served as Minister, Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of Japan in Myanmar. Over the past decade, he's held several senior positions in both overseas and domestic assignments, including Director General and subsequently Senior Vice President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, a Minister, Head of Chancery of the Permanent Mission of Japan in Geneva, and a Minister in charge of Economic Affairs of the Embassy of Japan in Indonesia. I had to read those so I got those titles correct, my goodness. His other postings in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs include director positions at the International Cooperation Bureau and Intelligence and Analysis Service. He received his BA in law from the University of Tokyo and an MS in Foreign Service from Georgetown University. So with all of those accolades, he's a Hoya. So ladies and gentlemen, please, Consul General Maeda, take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you again. My name is Toru Maeda, Consul General of Japan in San Francisco. It's my pleasure to join you at this annual Bonen Kai. Thank you so much to the Japantown Community Congress of San Jose and its co-presidents, Mr. Ryan Kawamoto and Ms. Pam Ushida, for organizing and continuing this annual tradition started by Coach Yoshihiro Uchida. I'd also like to thank JCCsj board member Mr. Michael Serra for inviting me to join. My duty as Consul General started earlier this year in February. Naturally, the opportunities to meet with people have been relatively limited due to the pandemic. But it was very fortunate to me to be able to attend the 40th Day of Remembrance ceremony in San Jose on February 16th this year. I remember being together with so many people. I believe some of you here today were there too, and discovered a profound sense of community that I know now is the foundation of San Jose Japantown. This summer also on July 11th, I attended the San Jose Abon at Home virtually. And in the last couple of months, I've been enjoying meeting with Japanese American community leaders in the Bay Area, including San Jose. Through these experiences, I personally feel very close to the San Jose Japantown community. As you may know, Bonen Kai literally means a party to forget the year. Japanese people tried to let go of all the bad times that happened during the closing year through Bonen Kai in order to start afresh in the coming year. The year 2020 has truly been a difficult year for everybody. Or it may not be possible nor appropriate to forget what we have gone through this year. However, let us hope that the year 2021 would be a lot safer, easier, and more prosperous for all of us, and that we can meet again in person soon. Until then, please take care and have a happy new year. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Consul General Maeda. Arigatou gozaimashita for what you have done. Arigatou gozaimasu for the continued support of our community, our lovely local community, where Bonen Kai has become a significant event for the San Jose Japantown community, specifically for JCCsj, whose mission is to actively support the preservation of the Japantown community, including the monuments you see around town. If you haven't had a chance, do seek out those benches found throughout Japantown. They signify nice, beautiful places to sit in a wonderful surrounding, getting to meet people who walk by, but also commemorating significant events and locations within Japantown. The Issei Memorial Building has an outstanding monument where you can touch and feel the history and see the different phases of our community. And of course, the Nikkei lantern we've talked about on the corner of 5th and Jackson, just relit after a period of darkness as we come toward 2021 with bright hopes as well. Every year, JCCsj has hosted this Bonen Kai celebration to bring our community together over good food like soba, sake, wine, and of course, with all those things comes laughter and good company, which we'll have over this, I think, internet access right now. But did you know that we actually have Coach Yosh Uchida to thank for this tradition? No, he didn't invent the internet, but he is the founder of Bonen Kai. So ladies and gentlemen, let's hear from Coach Uchida himself.
Many years ago, in the 60s, I had a judo team, and on the judo team we had many Japanese students who had trained in Japan. So I asked if they would like to have a party, and they were, of course, very happy. So I invited many of our Japanese students and many students from Japan, and they had a great time. And it was more or less about the Bonen Kai start.
Thank you, Coach Uchida. And now, back to Ryan, who's going to tell us a little bit more about JCCsj with his buddy over my shoulder, Soba.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Kawamoto, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have the distinct privilege of serving with Pam Yoshida as co-president of the Japantown Community Congress of San Jose, or JCCsj. I want to start off this presentation by thanking all the donors who have been incredibly generous in their donations in the past year in the memory of former JCCsj board member, Dr. Jerry Hira. And for the next couple of minutes, it is my deepest honor to talk about JCCsj. Our mission is to advocate for the preservation of the historic and cultural heritage of San Jose's Japantown and promote efforts to sustain and enhance the diversity, vibrancy, and viability of this community as a legacy for future generations. JCCsj runs Japantown Prepared, which is a volunteer committee focused on making sure that San Jose Japantown residents, businesses, and organizations are prepared for fire, earthquake, flood, and other disasters by providing educational presentations, consultation, first aid, CPR classes, and earthquake drills. This year, Japantown Prepared partnered with San Jose State University Professor A.J. Foss to conduct a citizen science vulnerability assessment in San Jose Japantown, where they identified the hazards of greatest concern in our community. JCCsj also coordinated a mask sewing and distribution project, where through the generous funding from the New Generation Nikkei Fund, a Tides Foundation fund, JCCsj donated $1,000 to UIKai, where UIKai volunteers sewed masks for UIKai staff, volunteers, participants, and community members. And UIKai case managers and Japantown Prepared volunteers distributed some masks to the community. JCCsj also runs the San Jose Japantown Nikkei Community Internship Program, or NCI program, where this year, while many programs are canceled due to the pandemic, our amazing planning committee of talented NCI alums and JCCsj board members actually pulled off running the program all virtually. Our two interns got to meet with amazing community leaders like former Congressmember Mike Honda and famous celebrities like NBC's Mike Inoue. And I had the pleasure of meeting with our interns as well. It's also the biggest pleasure and honor to announce the Kamei Family NCI Scholarship, where former JCCsj NCI Chair and Mountain View Vice Mayor Ellen Kamei and her family have generously donated the funding for one of our two NCI interns ongoing, where they are literally supporting the future of San Jose Japantown leaders. On behalf of the entire JCCsj board and community, thank you so much to the Kamei family for your generosity, thoughtfulness, and deep commitment to our next generation of leaders. This year, JCCsj also advocated for and protected parking in San Jose Japantown. We're also proud to be featured in the San Jose Mercury News multiple times and in the Nikkei Times for leading advocacy efforts to name a local park after John Hyland, who historians have agreed did what he felt was right despite threats of personal harm by showing compassion to people who were disappropriated based solely on ethnicity. JCCsj also had the honor of partnering with the County of Santa Clara Office of Women's Policy to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. And finally, JCCsj represents the community with pride as we ask that you please consider purchasing a mask with our logo that comes with 8 replaceable filters for $15 to help not only the financial health of JCCsj, but the public health of our entire community. Please know that all revenue of the masks will go to our JCCsj's operating fund, allowing us to continue to run Japantown Prepared, our NCI program, and allowing us to continue to advocate and serve our community. And so I thank you all so much for attending tonight's event, toast all of you in looking back at this past year, and wish you all a wonderful new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. It's so great to hear about the wonderful programs that JCCsj is running, whether it's building a pipeline of new leaders in our community, like the intern program. I get a chance to meet those interns every year, including this year. We just did it online instead of in person. Practically preparing the emergency preparedness like you do with San Jose Japantown Prepared, and it was a thrill to see the repository of the equipment, resources, and people who are at the disposal should the need arise, and advocating for and serving our community, the bottom line. So please note, folks, if the mission of JCCsj resonates with you, and if you feel so inclined, please consider making a donation. Maybe you can go on to their website and purchase a mask, not a map, or perhaps a map of Japantown. The mask itself, though, looks like this. It's got either the white logo or they had the black logo available. I got both versions, as well as the filters that go inside the pocket. Now, as you know, these masks are for helping protect yourself, but more importantly, it protects all of those around us. So, in doing so, you're helping with sustainability of the program, Japantown, and the health of our community as a whole. And now I'm excited to introduce Jane Kawasaki, the president of UIKAI, and she's going to show us how she prepares the soba that has become an important part of the annual Bonen Kai celebration, but it's also an important part of her family tradition on New Year's Eve. It's called Toshikoshi Soba, which means crossover into the new year.
Toshikoshi Soba is one of Japan's unique New Year's customs. It's said to date back about 800 years to the Kamakura period, when a Buddhist temple gave soba to poor people on New Year's. Even now, soba provides a warm and nutritious snack before Japanese families go to the ringing of the temple bells to usher in the new year. Eating soba symbolizes breaking off ties with the old year because the noodles are easy to break, and long life because they are long and thin. That symbolism is apt because buckwheat is good for your health. It provides high-quality protein, minerals, and B vitamins. Eating soba has been linked to improved heart health, lower blood sugar, reduced inflammation, and cancer prevention. Toshikoshi Soba has also been an integral part of JCCsj's annual Bonen Kai celebrations from its inception, along with the sake toast. For those of us who don't have the time or skills to make Sonoko Sakai's amazing homemade soba, here's a shortcut version using JCCsj's Sobob Soba Kit, using ingredients from Santo Market in San Jose's Japantown. If you didn't pre-order the kit, you can get the individual ingredients at Santo Market and also get other toppings and oshogatsu items. Our soba kit includes a package of Nanka Seimen soba noodles from a company that started as a family-owned noodle shop in LA's Little Tokyo in 1905. Ready-to-use soba tsuyu, or soup, that requires no mixing or measuring, pink-rimmed kamaboko, representing the dawn of a new year, and tempura gobo with burdock root that symbolizes the deep family roots that made us all who we are, and a garnish of nori and negi, or green onions. So let's make our soba. Add the soba noodles to boiling water, stir to separate, and cook until al dente. While the noodles boil, slice the toppings and heat the tsuyu for hot soup. When the noodles are ready, drain and rinse the noodles in cold water. You can reserve the cooking water, called soba-yu, to mix with leftover tsuyu to drink as a tea. Place the cooked noodles into bowls, add your toppings, and pour tsuyu over all. You're ready to enjoy. Now that our ties with 2020 have been broken with our Toshikoshi Soba, we wish you all the best for the coming year, 2021, the year of the ox. Thank you, Mark Santo and Santo Market, for subsidizing the cost of the soba kits to support JCCsj.
That was great, Jane. Thank you so much for that demo, and a reminder for folks for protocol, it's totally okay to slurp the soba. Remember that when you're eating noodles with chopsticks, those noodles are hot. You gotta bring them into your mouth and then use the cool air to cool them as they come into your mouth. It's purely practical and totally polite. So remember that. And remember that all of the ingredients that Jane used can be found at our local Japanese grocery stores. We support our local businesses, and we'd like to take an opportunity to thank the local business that helped support us as well, Santo Market, for their recent partnership in creating soba kits to help raise funds for JCCsj. And thinking about the original intent of Coach Uchida's vision of Bonen Kai, we thought we'd now focus on what it means, what it's truly about, and it's about bringing people together, isn't it? Now, we're online, separated by the internet, but we're also brought together by the internet. We're going to reconnect tonight, folks, maybe laugh, maybe see some old friends, make a new friend. So let's use Zoom. This is the platform we're on. And now you're all going to be separated into different groups. And don't worry, folks. I know not everybody has to have multiple Zoom meetings a day like my kids do for school. So what will happen is we're going to go into breakout rooms, all right? Breakout rooms, don't worry about what that is. It's basically like separating into a different group. And those are already done for you. So in each group, you're going to get an invitation. It's going to pop up on the screen in front of you. You're going to have to find your mouse and move the little pointer around and click accept. That will take you into the other room. And in each group, once you get there, I want you to introduce yourselves, give your name, maybe talk a little bit briefly about how you're connected with San Jose, Japantown. And even if you've always wanted to come to Japantown, but you haven't been able to, that's fine. That's your story to share.
Also, we volunteer at UIKai. And our good friend here on the screen, Mr. Sarah, is a good karaoke partner of mine.
Now, we want to welcome everybody back at this point in the program. In the Bonen Kai, for example, we normally have the kanpai, the toast, the sake, get on with tonight's event. And I don't know how many of you know this, but I used to assume that Bonen Kai was end of year. Bonen Kai actually, I think, translates, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, jump in there, or you can nod. I think it means forget the year, right? And it comes from the fact that you drink so much, you just blow away the past. And so, some might say that's what we want to do for 2020, but, we want to make sure that we understand. We have friends like Trevor, who I talked to earlier, and others who are not of age. Look how young you folks are. And so we're not going to celebrate quite that way. We're going to do it a little bit differently because we do have minors, and of course we can't share. So, I don't want to drink this whole bottle myself. So in Japan, at the end of a celebration, they would clap in a rhythmic way. It's called the hejime or the sanbonjime. It's clapping. And so I'm going to give you the example. And if you are rhythmically challenged, we'll practice a couple of times, all right? So go ahead and watch your screen. And it's done in 3 sets. I'm going to get technical. Bear with me. 3 sets. Each set goes 3 claps. 1, 2, 3 more. 3 more again, and then 1. That's 1 set. We're going to go slowly. We'll do that 3 times, all right? This is practice round. All right, so everybody, hands up, all right, and we'll go slowly. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. This time, do it faster now. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. One more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. All right. So that's sanbonjime. Sanbon, right? 3 times. Sanbonjime. It's a form of the tejime, right? The clapping. Let's do it faster again, because I have to warm you up and I have to get you ready for the professional who's coming next, all right? So everybody, that was great. We're going to try it again. Please unmute yourself at this time. Let's see if it works. I don't know if we're going to cancel each other out, but unmute yourselves. You can try to hear the clapping. There we go. Ready? Yo! 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, very good.
There's a lag.
I think the next time's going to be faster if I know the presenter. And we do know the presenter, in fact. So, folks, now that you've gotten warmed up, you're ready to go. We are honored. We are thrilled to have Jacqueline Funasaki from the Consul General of Japan in San Francisco. Jackie, as I'm allowed to call her, is part of their Economic and Commercial Affairs Office. She's going to lead us in the Sanbonjime. Remember, 3 times, Sanbonjime. Take it away, Jackie.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Funasaki, and as a representative of the Consulate General of Japan in San Francisco, it is my honor to lead tonight's Tejime to close out the Bonen Kai. May tonight's festivities give us all the energies to forget the woes and troubles of the past year and to be hopeful for the new year. Thank you again to the Japantown Community Congress of San Jose and its leadership for organizing the event. And now, let's close out with a bang. Yo! どうもありがとうございました。
Yay! Oh, okay. Did I lie? All right. Did I lie? I heard someone say it was fast, and it was. That's Jackie's pro. She does a lot of these. So thank you, folks, for joining in, for being good sports, and thank you, Jackie, on behalf of JCCsj. We can't thank you enough for taking the time to be with us tonight and leading us in that professional level of Tejime. We hope that may be part of the new tradition for future Bonen Kais. Yeah. We'll wrap that into our in-person celebration. And on that note, we conclude tonight's Bonen Kai. But stick around, we have a couple more seconds. We want to make sure that we want you to feel uplifted with the community coming together and the Tejime and the hand clapping. That was a symbol of a stronger and united community. More hands, bigger sound, with that strength and with the newly repaired lantern that you can see lighting downtown. Our community's future is bright and one of togetherness, one of hope, right? We'd also like to take this opportunity to once again thank our event sponsor. Remember, the Japanese Chamber of Commerce of Northern California. We saw their logo in the beginning, and also wanted to announce the fact that they've got some exciting news. We just learned about this recently. The Chamber has generously donated funding for next year's NCI program. That's the intern program we talked about. We're thrilled. We are thrilled because that program will further strengthen our relationship with the Chamber, of course, and we appreciate the fact that they are committed to furthering the longevity of the Japanese American community and helping us nurture those future leaders. Our San Jose Japantown is built on relationships, and more of them were built tonight. We appreciate your participation. We've been talking about the Nikkei Lantern funding all this evening. This project was completed a week and a half ago, and it was a 4-day long project, and it involved city permits and all kinds of exciting stuff like that. Inspections, ooh, yeah, you should have been there for that. It was costly though. That's the most important thing that we need to know. We need to remember. It was costly, and it was going to cost, well, Japantown, JCCsj, a pretty penny. There's a few more things were involved than we thought, but on Christmas Eve, Brian Iwashita, the owner of Palmer Electric, he gifted the materials and the labor involved for this project. It was a gift to the San Jose Japantown community. And so we're very fortunate to receive this generous gift from Brian Iwashita. We want to say thank you so much. We appreciate his continued support in so many ways. This is just one of them, one tangible one that you'll be able to see and remember. Brian's from San Jose, by the way, folks. He went to James Lick High, and he's part of the Kogura family. These are all names that we know as locals here. But he's done just such great work that his name will ring throughout Japantown. He's always held San Jose Japantown dear to his heart, and now he's dearer to our heart. And this is his gift to all of us. We simply can't thank Ryan enough for donating the construction portion of this project to us. And the news is also uplifting as we end this year on a bright note, and it gives us something to look forward to, right? The lantern, the lights, when we can all gather and walk up and down the streets again. So thank you so much again, Brian, for making that happen. This could not have come at a better time to end this year on a meaningful and positive note. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight and for making the time to be with us online for our Bonen Kai. This year, yeah, we had to gather online, but next year we hope we can be in person once again. One way you can do that is, again, by logging onto this website over my shoulder, jcc-sj.org, making a donation and getting one of these cool masks from JCCsj. Look at that. There's So Bob, mascot for tonight's wonderful celebration. And you know what? I'll say Yosh Uchida is a mascot as well. He's the founder, the originator, the one and only, bringing so much to Japantown, and we hope we can return the favor, Coach. Thanks for being here. All of you folks, thanks for staying healthy, staying safe, and for being a part of this community. Please continue to check in on one another via phone, via text, via email, or maybe a video conference like now. That's the way we do things until we can do them differently. So folks, till that time, have a great 2021, and I look forward to seeing you in real life.